Russia has proven throughout its unprovoked invasion of Ukraine that there are few red lines in a war. But many of us assume that one of them would be attacking Ukraine's nuclear facilities. A move like that would be, quote, suicidal, according to the UN Secretary General. And still despite that, over the weekend, a power plant inside of Ukraine, the largest nuclear facility in all of Europe, was the victim of intense shelling. On Monday, Ukraine's nuclear regulator accused Russia of bombing power lines at the nuclear facility, forcing the staff there to close one of its 6 reactors. Luckily, there have been no reports of radiological release, but Ukrainian officials have made it clear that we came very close. And Russia has denied that it was behind the attacks at the nuclear site, instead blaming Ukraine for the shelling. NBC News has been unable to verify the claims on either side. Joining me now to break this all down, to calm me down, hopefully, Joe Cirincione, a nuclear policy expert and former advisor to the State Department. So this power plant is twice the size of Chernobyl. That's great. So put it into context for us. How concerned should we be about this particular development? Help us understand the magnitude of this attack and the risk associated with it.
You should be very concerned about the nuclear dangers at this facility. That's the reason you see officials at the highest level giving us very clear warnings. The Secretary General of the United Nations saying that Russia's attacks on this plant are suicidal because you could kill Russian soldiers themselves. Any radiological release from this plant would spread into Russia itself. You see the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, saying it's a small miracle that we haven't had a nuclear catastrophe yet. He is demanding that Russia let IAEA inspectors into this facility and withdraw its armed forces, its artillery and ammunition that Russia is now basing at this facility. So no, the warning lights are blinking red. This is a nuclear time bomb that is ticking towards detonation. Urgent action is needed. You are right to be worried.
Okay, so that was really helpful analysis, but I'm going to take a deep breath. There have also been reports that there have been power outages, and the Wall Street Journal reported that, according to plant staff, they suspect that Russia is trying to steal the nuclear plant by disconnecting it from Ukraine's electrical grid and reconnecting it to Russia's. Help us understand what that means and potentially the impact of that if Russia's capable and able to do that.
That is very interesting reporting from the Wall Street Journal. I saw that story. You're right to highlight it. Not many people are paying attention to this. When Russia invaded Ukraine, one of the first things that Ukraine did was it started disconnecting its grid, its electric grid, from Russia and switching it over to Europe. And this is part of what it hopes all of the Central European countries will do, disconnect from Russia, reorient towards Western Europe. Well, part of that grid is the nuclear power plants. Ukraine has 5, 6 nuclear power plants in its facility. This is the largest one. So and Russia has seized it. They seized it early on in the war. And for a number of us, it was perplexing. Why would they do this? Well, now we may have an answer. They want to seize this, annex it as they're annexing other parts of the territory. Remember, they have a referendum scheduled in February for the Donbas region, for the provinces they're occupying right now. They could add the Zaporizhia region to that and just physically take over a major national asset of Ukraine. So it turns out there's not just a military reason for this. There's not just a sort of terrorist reason for this. There might be a Russian economic reason for seizing this plant.
This feels so unprecedented. I don't even know where to begin in terms of the military taking over a nuclear facility as part of their military operation. But before we go, I want to turn to the topic of Brittney Griner. We've been discussing this for many, many months. There has been a proposal put forward by the United States for a prisoner swap, but that has emerged into a 2-for-2 prisoner swap to free both Brittney Griner and Paul Whelan. What is the latest that you know about that situation?
Well, But you're right to say, by the way, that the nuclear plant is unprecedented. No one has ever done this before. No country has ever seized another country's nuclear power plant. The good news on the Brittney Griner front is that there seems to be Russian receptivity to a prisoner swap. Remember, the U.S. had offered this weeks ago. The U.S. and Russia are now apparently in quiet discussions. We learned over the weekend that Ambassador Bill Richardson is now getting involved in these discussions. He has an excellent track record on these kinds of exchanges, and he's the one who coined this 2 for 2 phrase. So 2 Americans, Griner and Paul Whelan, in exchange for 2 Russians, Victor Bout, the notorious arms merchant, and a Russian to be named later. I expect, unfortunately, that kind of deal is going to be difficult for the U.S. to swallow. So I think we're going to be in for some weeks of protracted negotiations. If things are going well, we won't hear anything about it. That's what you're looking for. Quiet, behind-the-scenes talk. The international pressure that's being applied, especially by sports figures, is very important to keep the focus on freeing Brittney Griner.
Helpful analysis. Joe Cirincione, thank you so much for being here and for that comprehensive analysis of the situation on the ground. It is concerning, but really important for us to know what's going on. Please stay safe.
Hi, I'm Zerlina Maxwell. Thanks for checking out our channel on YouTube. You can see more from Zerlina by clicking any of the videos on this screen, and make sure you subscribe below to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. Thanks for watching.